Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 385. I am Brendan. And here we go. 2024 PFL Week 1. All right? Some of you guys don't watch the PFL. I get that. If you're not interested in the PFL and you're just interested in MMA talk, I'm going to talk about that stuff here. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel. That way you know the videos coming out. I'd appreciate it. I will be covering the entire PFL season. I did it last year. I'll do it this year. If people are really against it, maybe I won't do it here. But I don't know. Some people seem to like it, and the fights are on ESPN Plus. It's a really low barrier to entry, easy for me to watch, easy for you to watch, and sometimes they're not. The fights aren't that bad. So, the main event. It's weird calling them that. Because they kind of don't have them. But during the regular season, even during the championship series, like the playoffs and stuff, they don't really have it. But it was Ante Delija taking on Valentin Moldavsky. Neither guy was committing to anything early. Delija find the mark with a couple combos and then gets kicked in the nuts. Then Moldavsky, he just kept the pressure on. Delija really not moving off the fence, didn't appear to want to be in there anymore. It was kind of strange to see. If you look at the striking numbers here, there were 34-5. It was only in the first round. He ended up getting the finish here. It's weird. Let's see if the finish is in here. Yeah. This is how the finish happens. This is how he gets it. But that was the whole thing. Like, he just stayed there against the fence for so long after. It just looked like he didn't want to be in there anymore. Quick 6 points for Moldavsky, and as the season goes on, we'll talk about the standings and the scores, right? We don't need to cover it every single time they happen, but as the season goes on, we'll talk about that. Denis Goltsov versus Linton Vassel. Oh, there is something I do want to talk about before we get into the Denis Goltsov fight. I have a suggestion for the PFL. Hear me out. I've said before I don't like their scoring system because it rewards you. The reward system is good for the finishes, right? So you get points. You get 6 points for 3 points for a win, and then bonus points if you get a finish in one of the rounds, right? If you get 3 bonus points by finishing in the first round, 2 bonus points by finishing in the second round, and then 1 bonus point by finishing in the third round, meaning you can get a maximum 6 points and a minimum of 6 if you win. Sorry, a minimum of 3 if you win. Here's the problem I have with that. We all have seen one-way beatdowns for 3 rounds. A 30-25, right? A 30-27, 30-26. Guy just getting mollywopped for 15 minutes. In their system, that win is still only worth 3 points. So that's messed up because the 3-point thing might be fine, but here's the problem. If somebody else comes along and ekes out a win in a victory, like that's barely a victory, right? Maybe a split decision that we all agree went the wrong way, also worth 3 points. This is where I have a problem with this. So I propose a change to the PFL system. All right, I propose a change to the PFL scoring system. Every 30-27 scorecard you get gives you 1 point. Every 29-28 scorecard gives you half a point. Seems to make sense. I understand that it's not perfect, but their scoring system now is kind of arbitrary when it comes to wins anyway. So if you have a clearly dominant win, you'll get 3 points. If you eke out a win, you might only get 2, or you might get 1.5. Here's the kicker. The other person can also get a point for winning one of those scorecards. Right? And you say, oh, well, they're being affected by that, and you're going to be negatively affected by a bad judge. That's going to happen anyway. It's already happening. If there's a bad split decision, we've already went over that scenario. Guy gets a win when he shouldn't, and now he gets 3 points. Now he's in the playoffs. Stupid. Okay. Now talking. That little aside. Now talking about Linton Vassel taking on Denis Goltsov. Vassel using the low kicks, Goltsov trying the jab. Vassel getting a nice double leg A little bit of damage in the fall. Vassel on top, working into mount. Finally gets it with 35 seconds left, but then he ends up on bottom. He was just on top the entire time. It was just an exhausting pace he put on him. 10-9 for Vassel. Second round, Vassel back with the low kick. Goltsov walks through it and gets an easy takedown. You can see here, there's not a ton of strikes. Gets an easy takedown with some wrestling, and then from the knees, Vassel gets on top, but he gets swept and spends the rest of the time on his back. Ground time, it's not. You see, their statistics, they have all of these broken down, but they don't break them down round by round. It's really stupid. Anyway, I gave that second round to Goltsov, and then the third round comes in. Goltsov walks him down. Vassel has no energy left. Gives up the takedown, gets into bad position, and then small strikes finally get the TKO finish. All right, I got no problem with that. Good finish. All right, Liz Carmouche taking on Juliana Velasquez. We can call it now, right? We can call it. We don't have to go through this again, right? You know, that first time, that whole thing where it got stopped early, John McCarthy, and so this is. For those of you guys who don't know, this fight has happened twice already in Bellator. In the very first fight they had, Juliana Velasquez landed some decent strikes on the feet, but then was getting out-grappled by Carmouche. And then in the third or fourth round, she got put into a crucifix position and was being struck out, and the ref called it. So, based off of my observation and what I know about MMA in general and organizations and how they work, Liz Carmouche is a part of the old guard. She's one of the, she's not the first wave of female fighters, but she came around right at the tail end of that first wave, right? Like maybe during the second wave of female fighters. And she's still around. She's 40 years old now, doing excellent. And Bellator probably didn't want her to become champion. They just wanted Velasquez with a good name on her resume, so they gave her Carmouche, thought she was going to get through her. And then when that didn't happen, everybody was ready to throw up their arms. Everyone threw up their arms. We're talking Josh Thompson, Mike McCarthy, everybody on the internet, everybody threw up their arms like, oh, that stoppage was premature. The stoppage was premature. That's bullshit. Well, now she's been finished. She was finished in the last fight and now just utterly dominated in 3 rounds. And Carmouche put it best. We'll talk about each round, but Carmouche put it best at the end of it. She's like, we don't need to do this again, right? Like, we see how this goes. So she ran across and lands a right hand right into the clinch. Ton of clinch work in the first round. Neither woman really making a statement in that round, but Carmouche did more, right? The AI, the fighter performance rating, the AI performance rating gave her a 56 and Velasquez a 34. I agree with that. That's fine. Carmouche right across the cage again, gets the body lock takedown with 3:45 left to work. Ends the round going for an armbar, landing some good strikes. Very dominant round. 2018. You could give her a 10-8 in the second round. I did not. So I had her up 20-18. Last round clinch work in the separation. Carmouche gets to the ground yet again. Carmouche going for the heel hooks after dominating the entire round. 30-27. This should. Oh yeah, and then I said this should put an end to all those comments about her. Needing to fight Velasquez and she got lucky in that first fight, blah, 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 blah. Wasn't luck that put her in that position. She worked to get in that position. Dakota Ditcheva versus Lisa Mauldin. This fight was pretty good. Ditcheva has some really clean striking, using the jab and the nice low kick. Ditcheva firing out a slick combo while working the right leg was caught. She's a really good striker. Mauldin was fine, but Ditcheva's a step above. Ditcheva catches a kick, gets to the ground, no control, back up in the clinch. Mauldin able to get her to the ground again, no control for her either. On the feet, coming forward, Ditcheva is really snappy, very precise with her strikes. Ditcheva landing a hard knee to the body. Mauldin drops, fights her way back up. Tough son of a bitch here. She gets back up, but then Ditcheva just hits her again with it, gets her to the body and puts her out. Makes her quit. Not quit, it just shuts her body off. Hopefully this works. That ain't it. That ain't the one. Good grief. There it is. All right, so she gets back up, going right back to the body, and bam, she's done. Beautiful finish for her. All right. Let's talk about something kind of sad for jiu-jitsu fans. Marcelo Golm versus Daniel James a second time. All right. So if you don't know how the first one went, Marcelo Golm's a very good grappler, went in there, thought he was going to dominate James on the ground, gets tired, and then gets finished by James in the second or third round. James with the pressure, pumping out the jab, landing some good stuff. Golm gets the body lock takedown, landing some good damage on top. James gets out as he gets his own takedown at a minute 28, landing big right hands while he's on his back. Golm is just staying in turtle position, so I actually did have a problem with this. I thought it should have been finished earlier, should have been stopped. This got 6 points for James. He gets this done early, and Golm just, I don't know, I don't know, this could be a hammer and nail type of situation. I mentioned that last week, but there's certain times, man, where like there's certain people, for whatever reason, their body, their fighting style, their strength, something just doesn't add up for you. And this is one of those ones, man. I don't know if Golm can beat James. Yeah, that was not... he did this for a while. That was for a while. All right, and then he got to finish with like 2 seconds left in the round, arguably closer than it needed to be. It could have been stopped earlier. Nice short fights that we've talked about so far. Not this one. Blagoy Ivanov versus Sergei Bilostenniy. Weird fight. Just it's a classic Blagoy Ivanov fight. Ivanov taking a couple shots to the leg and head, but still staying in the pocket and returning, making Bilostenniy back up. Every time he would land with that left hand and back him up, but it just wouldn't follow up. I'll talk about it more as we go on. Ivanov is landing the hard left straight, and that's busting the nose up of Bilostenniy and making him retreat. Bilostenniy slowing down as they just kind of slug each other, even though he's outlanding him. He is taking the bigger shots in this round. So at close round, volume was in favor of Bilostenniy, and I'd put him out in front just a bit. I could see it going either way. This first round was really close. You could give it to Ivanov. Even the AI score here had it 79-74 in favor of Bilostenniy. That's about right. That's how I saw it. I think you could give it to Ivanov depending on how you graded those shots. Bilostenniy landing a couple body hooks in the end of the first round and now using it to start the second. That's where the money was going forward, was those body shots. They were there all day. Bilostenniy able to sustain some good damage with a couple of combos, and Ivanov just takes it. Right, Bilostenniy seems to use a ton of energy, then take a break, then go in again, and it's working because Ivanov isn't taking advantage of those slower moments enough, right? Anytime he would go for the reset, Bilostenniy, Ivanov should be going after him, should be like pushing the pace on him. He should be throwing stuff out there, but he's just still waiting. He's just not throwing enough out there. More damage, obviously, for Bilostenniy in this round, and I gave him this round, 20-18. Bilostenniy able to keep the combos flying and the pressure on. Bilostenniy using head movement and cleaner boxing to land more to the body. Ivanov needs a lot of output down the stretch to get the round to the finish. Just didn't do it. Ivanov just not able to sustain damage or land hard enough shots to make up the difference. I hit 30-27. Looking at this last round, I think it was probably the most convincing round for Bilostenniy. Good round for him. 3 points. 3 points only. We can talk about this one. Shouldn't even have her picture up here. It's weird. It's almost like they couldn't find a picture of her. How? Taila Santos versus Ilara Joanne. Joanne with wild hooks way out wide. Santos going up the middle with the jab and getting the body lock takedown. Santos stays on top, plays the one up, one down game, and then immediately when Joanne goes to stand up, she goes for the rear naked choke. Kind of ridiculous. I hate that one up, one down game. But yeah, she immediately gets into this position and gets the rear naked choke finish. Good for her. Steve Mowry versus Oleg Popov. Let's see here. Cage clinching early with Popov getting the takedown. Mowry getting back up and fighting off the takedown, getting to the back himself. Popov able to fight it off and end the round on top, but just not enough to take the whole round. I gave that first round to Mowry. Obviously, AI has it the same way, 10-9. Popov digging to the body with the right hand, coming over the top with the lead hook. Popov using the pressure to get the cage clinch to take down yet again, and Popov gets a crucifix and landing small shots to get the finish. plenty fine. That's a good finish. No problems for me there. Kana Watanabe versus Shanna Young. This fight wasn't bad either. Watanabe enters with the jab. Oh, wait, no. This one was kind of a stinker. Watanabe enters with the jab and the jab straight, getting countered by the hard right hand and straights from Young. Watanabe climbs to the back, gets a hooks in. Watanabe stays in the back for the rest of the round, landing decent strikes and keeping on the sub. She just couldn't get the finish. She did this for the first round. The second round, she did the same thing. And then the third round, she, again, the same thing. She just gets to her back and dominates her. We don't need to go over each of those things and talk about them. It was not a very interesting fight. And then the very first fight on this card that matters for the regular season. Chelsea Hackett versus Jena Bishop. Bishop using that lead left hook, doubling up to close the distance, using that to get to the body lock and get the takedown. Hackett able to get to the into the guard, but goes for the slam escape and gets caught in an armbar, which is absolutely great finish. Let's see if I can find that one. That one was a pretty cool finish. Yeah, right here. She goes up, goes to slammer, and gets caught. Beautiful finish for her. All right, that's it. Let me know what you guys think about the PFL in general. I think that this stuff, when they play their game of doing the season and stuff, I don't have a problem with it. I actually enjoyed this more than them versus Bellator. I thought that card, especially because it being, like a pay-per-view style, they just do not do that well. It took forever. The lighting was off. It seemed worse than normal. I don't know how. This production level for the kind of fights that they're putting on, I think, is fine. I think it's above the local level, obviously, but it's not quite at the UFC level or 1FC level. It's fun to watch when you can go through it, man. It's on ESPN Plus. You can fast forward through all the bullshit you don't want to listen to. It moves at a quick clip. So if you are a fan of MMA in general and you can't get enough of it, it's not the worst thing in the world to watch. It's really easy to watch, man. Really easy to watch. You pop on ESPN Plus, throw this stuff on, put it on in the background during the day or whatever, or you just fast forward and watch through the fights if you're really into that kind of stuff. So I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of stuff. That way the next video is coming out. I will be covering the UFC this weekend, obviously, so I'll be putting those out, so look out for those. Peace. Have a great week.